Hello, welcome to the fourth experiment of our thermal lab, ME Lab 1 thermal or the thermal power laboratory. The experiment title is determination of calorific value of a solid fuel by using the device bomb calorimeter. Now, we know that a bomb calorimeter is a device. The word calorie means energy and meter means measurement. So, calorimeter is a device which measures the heat value of a fuel. Now, the bomb calorimeter is a device by which we can measure only the calorific value of either solid or liquid. Gaseous fuels heat value or calorific value is not possible to determine by this device. For that, we require Boyle's calorimeter or Zanker's calorimeter. So, this is not in our syllabus. Today, we will learn what are the components of a calorimeter, bomb calorimeter, what are the tools that are required for measuring the heat value or calorific value of a solid fuel, how the fuel is being incorporated in the calorimeter, how the ignition switch or how the ignition process, what is the mechanism of ignition, and how we will take the indirect temperature measurement by using the device. So, here you can see the apparatus. So, this is the calorimeter device which is the dry one, you can see without water. And this experiment we will take both the dry apparatus as well as water. So, the entire mass will be considered the total mass of water taken for the experiment plus the mass of the solid device, the dry device. Then for the measuring of the mass of the fuel, we have to first make a pellet. So, by using these types of fuels, so this is a known fuel. Actually, this experiment is to be conducted in two phases. Why? In first phase, we have to use a known fuel, which here we use the benzoic acid. You can see the benzoic acid. Why? Because why it is known? Because the calorific value or the heat value of this fuel is already known to us. That's why it is a known fuel. So, in first phase, phase 1, we will determine the water equivalence of the entire dry calorimeter, and the second phase by using the same value which we get from the phase 1, that determined value, that water equivalence of the dry device as well as the the same mass which we have taken for the benzoic acid, we will take for the phase 2. That means, in phase 2 we will find or we can find the calorific value of any unknown solid fuel by the same procedure. So, today we will only discuss how in phase 1 we can find the water equivalence of this dry calorimeter. For that, what are apparatus we require? The number one apparatus is, in order to make the pellet, the solid pellet like a tablet. You can see over there, these are some samples of the pellet of the fuel. For that, we require some pellet maker. So, you have to pour you can see over there or inside this, you are having the known fuel in powder form. You need to incorporate these things here inside the pellet maker. You need to tighten this in one side and in the opposite side you can see this is the way we have tightened it, and it is the opposite way, in the opposite direction you need to ram it, you need to compress it. So, the more or the higher the pressure, higher is the pressure here. So, that plunger will make the pellet in high compression. After that, you need to open this and you need to give a thrust to make it out. So this way the pellet will come out, and this will be measured in the digital mass measuring weight measuring device. Okay, from there we can take the value in gram. Okay, say 3 gram, 4 gram, 10 gram, 8 gram we will find. So you can also find 3.5 gram like that. So you need to put off all the fans and all the other technical obstructions. You need to keep it here, you need to tear it to make it 0. Okay, so after that you can see, so you need to first make it 0. Okay, so after this 0 we need to put the solid fuel whatever, and it will show you the mass. So say it may be 3.5 gram or 4 gram whatever, this mass we have to record for our experiment. The second device we are having is the electrical stirrer. So there is a motor, there is a AC motor there. When the electricity is on and the switch is on, so this motor will rotate, and in turn this shaft, this paddle will rotate. So this is a stirring effect, and the water, this is used to cool the water uniformly. Okay, you can see this shaft rotates. Okay, and you can see here there are 2 places, there are 2 holes for 2 electrodes. The red one you put the anode, the black one you put the cathode, and this is the place for inserting the digital thermometer. We have the thermometer and we will put it inside. Okay, the thermometer will be shown later on. There is a digital thermometer, and the reading of which will be displayed in the monitor later on. Then we have a container for taking the water, and the measurement of water depends on the volume, the size of the bomb you are taking. If the size of the bomb is higher, you need to take more water. If the bomb size is less. Now what is bomb? Generally the word bomb represents, or it means explosion. Is very much correct. Bomb means here a device where a chemical reaction is being taking place in presence of oxygen. So this is a oxidation reaction, that's all. And we know when a fuel, now what is the definition of CV, calorific value or heating value? Now whenever if any fuel is burnt in presence of oxygen or oxidizing agent, it may be air also, because in air we are having 21% oxygen, or you can use fresh oxygen also from oxygen cylinder. So other inert gases will not come, like nitrogen or other gases of the atmosphere will not come. So whenever any fuel, solid, liquid, gas is burnt in presence of oxygen, it will gives you some heat value. That heat, so what is the unit? Say calorie or joule. So say you are using 3 gram of a fuel, solid fuel, and you say you are getting say 300 calorie of heat. So what is the CV of the fuel? 300 calorie divided by 3 gram. So 100 the unit calorie per gram. So for gaseous fuel we generally express in terms of joule per meter cube, calorie per meter cube, like that, because per unit volume. For a solid or for a liquid we generally express in terms of heat unit per unit mass. That means calorie per gram, joule per kg, joule per gram, like that. So generally we will express today in terms of calorie per gram. It is in CGS unit. If you want to express into SI unit, you need to express into joule per kg or whatever kilogram, because we know 1 calorie is approximately 4.2 joule, and 1 gram is equal to 10 to the power minus 3 kg. So you can easily convert, no problem. Now this is the fourth device is the measuring flask, by using which we can measure the amount of water that is used in the experiment. You can see there are different leveling 100, 200, 300 like that. Say you are using a water up to say 850. So depending on the mark and by maintaining the parallax error, so you have to measure the water level correctly for the correct reading. Okay, you can see, so this is a 100 ml gap. So the entire capacity is 1000 ml, that is 1 liter. Say for approx we will take, but now why I have told that the amount of water in the water container depends on the size of bomb. I told you that the bomb is a device which is used or inside which a strong chemical reaction is taking place. Why strong? Because whenever there is an explosion, there is a chemical reaction, heat will be generated, and that too at high pressure. Because we know whenever the oxygen or oxygen agent is being supplied in a container or in a chemical reactor at a higher pressure, the efficiency of the chemical reaction is generally high. So that concept gives us the chance to use oxygen at a higher pressure. Say for 2 bar, 3 bar, 5 bar, the higher the pressure, the better is the experiment and the smooth is the reaction. For that we require a oxygen cylinder over there, you can see. So by using the oxygen cylinder, so what is the use? The advantage of using oxygen cylinder is that if you use high pressure oxygen from the oxygen cylinder, say maybe at 2 bar or 3 bar or whatever, you can see there are 2 different units. One is PSI, the black one, and the red one is in kg per centimeter square. Okay. Now we know, so we will take the reading in the red curve, and approximately 20 kg per centimeter square is equivalent to 2 bar. So today we will try to take the oxygen approximately say at 3 bar. So that indicator, black indicator, will have to reach up to a point 30 in the red line. You can see over there. So what is the advantage of using pure oxygen? Now the advantage of using compressed air is that higher the pressure, better is the combustion and better is the reaction efficiency. And the advantage of using fresh oxygen is that no inert gas is there. So in the entire volume of the reaction chamber or the you can say the combustion chamber is filled with pure oxygen. Okay, because the other gases will not take part in the reaction. So there is no use of using or taking other gases like N2 or other NO2, H2O, all these atmospheric gases. Now we will come in the last apparatus, which is the dry calorimeter, the main part, and bomb is the central portion of the experiment of the entire calorimeter device. So I will come to this later on. This is the bomb, you can see. So generally it is told that a bomb is a strong metallic device made of stainless steel or non-corrosive material, where the chemical reaction, a strong chemical reaction is taking place. And why strong? Why I am telling it's a hard, tough, strong metallic device? Because if we take the oxygen at higher pressures, 3 bar, 4 bar, 5 bar, more than atmospheric, or 1.01325 atmospheric pressure, more than atmospheric. So obviously that device has to withstand that high pressure. So it is made robust or strong. So the metal is stainless steel, you can see, and you can see again there are 2 holes for 2 electrodes. One is anode, one for cathode. Now, where you will put the red one or black one, this depends on you because they are same, because this is a DC supply. So, when the main line will switch on, so from there the input is the AC in the digital box. From there the DC supply will come in the inside the combustion chamber. So this is the main combustion chamber. You can see the inside. This is the inside portion, and inside this you can see a brass metal container. This is called crucible, where the solid fuel is kept and is allowed to drop down. I will come step by step. In order to avoid the leakage of oxygen from inside to outside, because inside pressure is 2.5 or 3 bar as we will take, maybe more than that. Outside pressure is obviously 1 bar. So there is a high tendency to leak of compressed air in the calorimeter or outside. For that we need a strong sealing action. You can see over there. There is a strong lining of rubber pad and other one-way valve like that. So there is a sealing effect. It makes a sealing effect so that there is airtight, to make it airtight. And this is the place for inserting the compressed air, both for inserting as well as for releasing. So this is a two-way valve. When by using the oxygen cylinder, we will use a high pressure oxygen, obviously high pressure and low pressure inside the bomb. So say for 3 bar you have set, for 3 bar to 1 bar it will come. So it will, the compressed air will be filled inside. When after the experiment is over, how you will be sure? In order, because if inside pressure is 2 bar or 3 bar, if you want to remove this, it will not remove because the outside pressure is 1 bar. So you can give any force, but it will not lift up. For that, you need to release the excess oxygen by pressing this button, this knob, or this is the valve, like our pressure cooker. Okay, so by pressing this valve, this safety valve, you can release the excess oxygen left in the bomb, and the experiment is over. Now you can lift it up at the end and you can see whether the entire fuel is burnt or not, because in the definition of bomb we know that in the calorific value we have already studied that, or we were told that whenever a fuel is completely burnt in presence of oxygen, the heat value per unit mass is the Cv, or heat value per unit volume is the Cv. So if the entire volume of the or entire mass of the fuel is not burned, that means if the combustion is partial, not complete, then we will not get the Cv. We will get some other values of a combustion product, but the correct Cv of the taken fuel will not be proper. Okay, so you have to keep in mind. For that, you need to ensure that no solid unburned fuel is left in the crucible. All the fuel needs to get burned. And you can see over there, both the electrodes are short by a nichrome wire. Why? This works as a fuse wire, but before that, when the experiment is started and before we cut down the wire by using a high voltage, a high current, because we know H is equal to I square RT. Why nichrome wire? Nichrome wire or any fuse wire, what is the purpose generally? It works as a fusing element. How? Initially it will maintain the DC current over the entire circuit. We know H is equal to I square RT. Increase I, the heat generated in the wire is proportional to I square. Higher the voltage, same thing, because V square by RT. So higher the voltage or higher the current, here we will supply higher current, a impulsive current will pass. For that there will be high current, and that current will try to induce the heat, and since it is having a low melting point, nichrome wire, it will melt. During the burning, it consumes some energy, we will consider later on. Now what will happen? Now from this nichrome wire, we will use a cotton thread. Here you can see some part of cotton thread is left in the last experiment, which we need to remove before today's experiment. So why? From this cotton thread, we will hang the solid fuel, the pellet that we will make in the pellet maker, and the crucible will be placed here. So that, what is the intention? So that when in the high current, the fuse wire will melt down, there will be no connection in between the two electrodes. Then along with the thread, the entire solid pellet will fall on the crucible. As the entire ambience or the environment inside is already in highly pressurized oxygen atmosphere, the chemical reaction starts, and a very fast chemical reaction is going on. Now how to understand whether the reaction is complete, whether the burning is complete or not? The steps are, initially when we will start the experiment, the temperature will be of the inside water. So this is the water temperature, this is the time. We will discuss this later on. Initially, when we will start the experiment, then the water temperature inside the bomb calorimeter is equal to the ambient temperature. So if it is 0, the starting, when the time is 0, the temperature is approximately equal to the ambient temperature. But as we go on, so when the firing switch is on, in order to melt down the fuse wire, gradually there is a forward reaction, the temperature goes up, say it may be up to 30 minutes, it depends on the size of the fuel, the leakage going on, and also the inside pressure of the compressed oxygen taken and the amount of oxygen taken. Okay, so the inside, so the temperature of the water will gradually rise. As we will also use the stirrer, it will try to make the water temperature rise uniformly, so that the entire water has been uniformly heated. So there is no disturbance of the regularity. So wherever we will place the thermometer, show us the reading of the temperature at any point inside the calorimeter. Why I have told you that in this experiment we will take the indirect temperature reading, because here in the chemical reaction chamber or in the combustion chamber where the fuel is being burned, we will not take the direct reading of the temperature rise. Rather, we will take the reading of the water that is taken or that will be used outside the bomb. That's why I have taken, depending on the size of the bomb, the amount of water required will depend on. So you can see how we will be sure that our experiment is over or not. So you can see after say 20 or 25 or 30 minutes, we will not see any difference in temperature. That means almost a equilibrium condition, an equilibrium region or zone is obtained. So where there is no noticeable change in temperature, that means what? The forward reaction is over. The zone 1, the heating zone is already over. So zone 2 is the equilibrium zone where the temperature does not vary. At that time, we can switch off the experiment. But no, in order to get the temperature error in the cooling side, or in order to get the actual temperature rise in the experiment, we need to follow some more 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes maximum. In the third stage is the zone 3. We will see again there is a decrease in temperature level. So this is the zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. Zone 1 is the heating zone, zone 2 is the equilibrium zone where there is no change in temperature, and zone 3 is the cooling zone. From the cooling zone, we will find the cooling correction. From the heating zone, we will find the total rise in temperature in the experiment, and this is the temperature correction in the thermometer. Because when the experiment is switched on, obviously since the thermometer is kept for a long time, we did not use it, it will show you the temperature which is stored by its virtue in the last phase. When the switch is on, there is a fluctuation or blink in temperature, and although the temperature difference is very small, but there is a small change, or there is a small fluctuation of temperature due to the error in the temperature in the thermometer. So say initially the ambient temperature say today is say 28, it will show at 27.8. In the last day it will show say in the next moment it will show say 28.1. So that difference, say 28.1 minus 27.9, say plus minus, so that's why I have taken mod, say plus minus say 0.01, say, or it may vary up to 0.03. These we will consider. So if you add the experimental temperature rise, the rise in temperature is the total rise in temperature. Okay, the total rise in the temperature of water in the entire experiment, the corrected one, is the actual rise in the experiment which we obtained from the heating zone, zone 1, plus the cooling correction which we will obtain from the cooling zone, plus temperature correction in the or it is called thermometer correction factor, which we will find from the blinking of two temperature initially before the experiment is started. Okay, so this is the significance of this graph. Now we will learn how to use all the apparatus and how to make the pellet, number 1. Number 2, how by using the thread we will hang the pellet over the crucible, hang up. How after the bomb is ready, before the electrical connection or electrode connection, go to the oxygen cylinder and take oxygen as per your wish, 2 bar, 3 bar, 4 bar, 5 bar, depending on your wish. Number 4, how much water is required to pour in the calorimeter inside. But before that, let us study the inside schematic diagram or the construction of the dry calorimeter. Here you can see this is the outer shell or the drum. It made of stainless steel. It is given wooden. Now there are 4 layers, or that means there are 3 different partitions are covered. What type of partition? In the first phase, here in the outermost layer, some water is being given. In the second layer, there is empty, that means vacuum, that means stagnant air. The third phase, what we will take? Water, then bomb. So how many layers? 3 layers. First water. First here is water, this portion. In the second portion, in the second layer, there is vacuum. In the third portion, when we will place the bomb here in the water jacket, again there is water, stagnant air, again water here, then bomb. So what are the different steps? Again I am telling step by step. In the central portion bomb, you can see bomb, after bomb, and in between the place or the water container or water jacket and the bomb, we will fill up water up to how much? Up to the neck of the calorimeter, or at least to the bottom of the electrode, say up to this much level. Up to this much level we will fill water. Say it may be 700 liter, 700 ml, or it may be 800. So it depends on the size of the bomb. If the bomb size is taller or the of high volume, we have to take more water. So first water here, then here stagnant water, stagnant air here, because we know stagnant air behaves as a insulating medium. Again here you can see there are the cotton threads in order to work as a insulating medium. Again here there is a vacuum, here water. So why these different 4 stages or 4 different zones are being created? These are created in order to increase the overall insulating capacity, or in order to get or obtain better insulating tendency from the device, so that no heat can enter from outside or no heat can leak from inside to outside. Or since we know that the bomb, the central portion is of maximum temperature, so the water near the bomb device, the water which is around inside near the bomb surface, outer surface, is maximum temperature. So if that heat is leaked out through the water, through air, through outside, we cannot take the exact reading. That's why in order to increase the overall effectiveness of insulation, to get the better insulating behavior from the device, we are using this. Okay, so this is the construction of the device. So after the bomb is placed here, so how to place one by one? So after the oxygen is placed here, you need to put this cap on. You need to fix it before the oxygen is taken. After that, it will not come out. So this we will place here. After we will place here, we have to use the pipeline water in between the bomb and the water jacket or the container. After that, we will put the stirrer in one side and we will lock it in one side. And before we do this, you can see the red one is the anode, the black one is the cathode. So place in 2 holes provided for electrodes. And you can see the bomb is not centric, it is eccentric, it is not at the center. Why? For the stirrer. Because this stirrer will rotate when there will be a friction in between the stirrer shaft, the pedal, and the bomb. It will not rotate, the friction. So for friction there may be a rise in temperature. For that there is a eccentric in geometry. Okay, now this is locked up. Now this is the input for the electrodes. You can see red one and black one. So we will put the red in red, black in black. And this is the input for the electrical supply. Okay, so this experimental setup will be discussed in our next phase. Thank you.